Hi, I'm Brian Jacobs, registered clinical hypnotherapist. In this short video presentation, I'll be talking about the concept of the human mind and explaining what hypnosis is and what it isn't. The concept is that the mind has two parts, the small conscious mind and the much larger subconscious mind, which is also called the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is logical, rational and analytical. It's the part of the mind that you use on a day-to-day basis for making logical, rational decisions. And for those clients who come to see me, it's the part of the mind that wants change. So for those that want to, say, stop smoking or lose weight or gain confidence, it's that part that wants them to be stopping smoking, losing weight or gaining confidence. It's a part of their mind that they would love to think was in control. But of course it isn't in control. If it were in control, they'd just say to themselves, I don't smoke, or I'm losing weight, or I have confidence, and the problem would be resolved. The conscious mind is your short-term memory. You can only be consciously aware of a very limited amount of information at any moment in time. For example, if you now place your hands palm down on your lap and just notice what you can feel, the texture of the material of what you're wearing, whether it's rough or smooth. And while you're focusing on that, you are not thinking about your eyelids blinking, and yet your eyelids have been blinking throughout the whole of this process. Within the conscious mind, you'll see the word willpower, which I define as conscious effort. And we all have willpower, and it can be very powerful, particularly for behavioural change. Willpower is driven by motivation. The greater the motivation, the easier it is for a person to use willpower. And when we talk about motivation, we're talking about the pain and pleasure principle, moving away from pain and moving towards pleasure. And hypnotic techniques can be used to increase that motivation. The subconscious mind is much more powerful than the conscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the storehouse of all your long-term memories. Things you've seen, heard, felt or experienced from the moment you were born until recent times. Those memories can be triggered. For example, maybe you switch on the radio and some music comes on that maybe you haven't heard of for many years. And that music reminds you of all the things that you were doing all those years back. Or maybe you taste something and it reminds you of something that you ate as a child and all the events that were happening at that time. Also in this part of your mind are all your emotions and feelings, both good and bad. For example, happiness and joy and love and confidence and self-esteem, as well as fear and stress, boredom and anxiety and frustration and many others. Generally, we don't consciously choose how we're going to feel on a particular day. For example, no one chooses to feel sad or stressed or bored, but it's just the way that your mind responds to a particular situation or stimulus. Of course, once you become aware of having a particular negative feeling like stress or whatever it may be, then you can take action to do something about it. In this part of the mind are all your habits. Habits are things that you've learned how to do over and over again. They can be physical or they can be emotional. When a habit first starts, there is always a reason why it starts. The behaviour had a positive intention at the time it started, although you may not be aware of what that reason was. An example of a physical habit would be driving a car. When a driver first learns to drive, initially they are very consciously aware of what they're doing. And they practice over and over again until it becomes the habit. It goes from conscious learning, which is in the conscious mind, to becoming a programmed in habit, which is in the subconscious mind. Habits can also be emotional as well as physical. For example, a person could be habitually sad or habitually angry, an habitual worrier. Also in this part of your mind is your imagination. And your imagination is extremely powerful. When you imagine something vividly, then to your subconscious mind it's as if it's real. It feels as if it's actually happening. I wonder if you've ever had the experience of waking up in the middle of the night because of a nightmare and your heart's beating faster, you've come out in a sweat. But if you have, it would feel as if it were real. But it's only your imagination that's creating that physical response in your body. And we will be able to use your imagination to help you make positive changes while you're in hypnosis. Not only that, but when you imagine doing something over and over in your mind, you actually create neural pathways in your brain as if you are actually doing the behavior. The subconscious mind also has a function of protection. Let me give you some examples. It protects us by what we call the fight or flight response. And what that means is that when a person's life is under physical threat or perceived threat, there is a hormonal change within the body, the adrenaline release and cortisol release, to enable that person to fight or to run away. So there's a similar physiological response when a person is under pressure or stress. Secondly, the subconscious mind protects us by holding on to old habits and behaviors. For example, if you were to imagine a person driving a car along the highway and it was a very busy road, and that person, if they suddenly lost the habit of how to drive, they'd be in danger. So it's important that once a habit is learned, it stays there until replaced by something better. The subconscious mind also has the ability to generalize. As a simple example, at some point in your life you learned how to turn a door handle to open a door. And now, whenever you see a door handle, even though you may never have actually seen that door handle before, you automatically will be able to open the door without consciously thinking about how to do it. So the conscious mind wants change, but the subconscious mind is where the old programs are, and it resists change. Now, between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind there's a barrier. We call it the critical faculty of the conscious mind. It acts like a firewall does on a computer. It protects the subconscious mind and all the programs that are running within the subconscious mind from outside interference. So if a suggestion were to come in, whether it be from your doctor or somebody else, it would be to say, oh, why don't you stop smoking, or why don't you lose weight, or feel less anxious, or be more confident, or whatever the issue is that you want help for. Even though that suggestion may make logical, rational sense, and even though you agreed with it on a conscious level, because that suggestion were not in agreement with your existing habits and beliefs at a deep level, that suggestion would be rejected. What we do using hypnosis is to bypass this critical faculty so that we can work directly with your subconscious mind to facilitate positive changes. So let me now explain about hypnosis and dispel some of the common misconceptions. Firstly, I can't make you do something that you don't want to do. So that means that you have to be coming to have hypnotherapy because you want to come along, not because somebody's making you. And you also have to want to be hypnotized. Secondly, hypnosis is not sleep, and it's not being unconscious. Hypnosis is a state of deep relaxation that you can be guided into. You'll be sitting in a chair with your eyes closed, you'll be deeply relaxed. But yet you'll be aware of what's happening, listening to my voice. You may also hear sounds inside or outside of the room, but they won't bother you, they just help you become more relaxed. Thirdly, you cannot get stuck in hypnosis, just as you can't get stuck in a daydream. And if there were any emergency, you'd just get up from the chair and you'd leave. We all experience forms of hypnosis in our daily lives. I don't know if you drive, but if you do, you might have experienced the situation of driving from one place to another and your mind wandered and you got to your destination and wondered how you got there. That's a form of waking hypnosis. And what may be in a 30-minute journey may have felt like 5 minutes because of a time distortion in hypnosis. Or perhaps you've been reading a book or watching a film or play, and you're so involved in what you're doing that you are oblivious to what's happening around you. Again, that's a form of hypnosis. If anything, hypnosis feels like the state last thing at night or first thing in the morning, when you're lying in bed not quite asleep and not quite awake. In that drifting state, your eyes are closed. Perhaps you could open them if you really tried, but you just can't be bothered. It's a little like that. Don't expect to feel hypnotized. Just expect to feel very relaxed. Everybody can be hypnotized to some extent or another. Some people feel a heaviness, some feel a lightness, some feel a drowsiness. The feeling is very subjective and different from one person to the other. But as I said, everybody can be hypnotized. Having watched the video, if you have any questions, please do contact me, or alternatively you can ask them when you come to see me. Thank you.